Swami Dwarkadish. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravadakacharya Satarata Sri Simad. His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. His Kam BBT Founder Charge of Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paravadakacharya Satarata Sri Simad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisaranta Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananti Kori Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Namachar Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Jagaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Brihat Mridanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Gaura Paremananda Haribo. All glorious assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Hi. So today we're doing a little something different, a little special program today. We would like to speak about the book distribution that we had here at New Dwarka for the year of 2024, sorry. Very interesting scores. Lots of nice things. It's amazing how through many years and years of this activity of book distribution, it gets better and better. And it's actually very ecstatic. It actually really produces a lot of goodwill and a lot of good feeling in accomplishment of something. It's like if you have a goal and you accomplish that goal, you're obviously very happy, satisfied. And then you like to make another goal for the next time. So it appears here in New Dwarka, we always have a goal. And we started on January 1st, and we go all the way till December 31st. And then by the 2nd or 3rd, the next year, we've got another goal. So it never stops. But I think that in Krishna consciousness, that's the essence or the refreshness of Krishna consciousness, by always making goals. And even in the material world, people do that. There's a lot of people that are goal-oriented, and they make an effort to set a goal, a doable goal, a reachable goal. And then when they accomplish it, it brings a lot of satisfaction. So in our program, this book distribution is something that Srila Prabhupada was very much keen on, very favorable. He wanted us to go out and distribute as many books as possible. That was his real nature, his real desire. He even said that when he came to America, he didn't come to America to build a lot of temples. He simply came to distribute the book, the knowledge. Knowledge is very powerful. We see that when someone has a proper knowledge or understanding, the activities that they perform are very powerful. There's a lot of power behind knowledge. So Prabhupada wanted us to distribute these books to give the masses of people an understanding of what life really is. What is the purpose of life? You know, where are you supposed to go? What's going to happen to you? These kind of questions in the material world, they have no answers for that. And it's usually like a joke, but I know in many years ago, in the early 70s and all that, we used to joke that Christianity meant that they're all eventually going to end up in heaven, and they're going to be at a soda fountain and drinking pop together or having sodas together and socializing and having a good time. And that was the mentality in the 70s. It was like that. They thought going back to God meant just going up there and associating and having fun. And God really wasn't even in the picture, because they didn't know exactly what God, who was he? They didn't have any idea. But they thought that he'd be there. And even today we see people, they think that you can be the biggest rascal, you can be a murderer, and they'll say to him, just accept Jesus in your life and you're saved. They think like that. They think it's that simplistic. And they profess that understanding, that you can be a rascal, you can do so many nonsense activities, but at some point in your life, if you just accept Jesus in your heart, everything's okay. And we can see that this is cheating propensity. This mentality is cheating. They're cheating innocent individuals about what the real goal of life is and how to get back home, back to Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada wanted us to distribute these books more than ever, to give them real understanding and real knowledge. In the early days, in the early 70s, even in the 60s, this idea of reincarnation and things of that nature, or the law of karma, these things weren't even known. They weren't even recognized in the U.S., in America. Isn't it? I mean, did you? No, it wasn't even, yeah. It was nothing. No one understood that whatsoever. And there was no real goal, really. There was no structure. And even in our era, we see that there was rebellion, right? I mean, in the 70s, they're rebelling against society, against the world view. Rebellion because they didn't want to work from 9 to 5. We rebelled because we didn't agree with that principle. You work 9 to 5, create a family, get a job, and that's it. That's the end of life. And we weren't satisfied with that. The youth at that time, they revolted. There were so many revolting in the streets of major cities, and it was actually a lot of fun to be involved in revolting. It was actually against society in general. So we see that the tendency for the living entity is to want to have knowledge, to have some kind of understanding what the purpose of life is. So when Srila Prabhupada came, he opened up that vision in all of us. He gave us a purpose. He gave us some understanding. And that purpose and understanding was extremely powerful. It's so much so that we left our families, our material families, to go join Srila Prabhupada's family, the spiritual family. And that was very important. Prabhupada was there as the missionary of the Krishna consciousness movement. So in that way, I just wanted to read something from Prahlad Maharaj. Very nice, powerful prayers. So I'd like to start out with these wonderful prayers. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Naibod vijab duraya vaitaranya svadvirya gayana mahamita magchitaha sochetato vimuka chetasa indriya maya sukaya baram udvato vimudhan. In this particular verse he says, I'm not afraid of material existence. He doesn't have any fear of how and what's going on in the material world. Because I am fully absorbed in thinking of your glories and activities. So he doesn't have to think or be afraid of material nature because he's always thinking about Krishna and Krishna's activities. My concern is that the fools and the rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness, family, society, country, I am simply concerned with love for them. This is really the Vaishnava character. This is what it really means to be in Krishna consciousness, to make advancement in Krishna consciousness, that we don't just criticize, but we have love for the conditioned souls in the material world because they're ignorant They're thinking of their family, society, friends, money. They're so enraptured in that activity that a pure devotee of the Lord actually has sincere sympathy for them. And here Prahlad Maharaj saying he has love, not only sympathy, but he loves these conditioned souls because he understands their plight and the difficulty and problems that they're experiencing by in capturing themselves in this material energy. So that is the mood of an acharya or a pure devotee of the Lord. That's the purpose of Prabhupada coming to the West, because he could see that we were engrossed in heavy material activity, sense gratification, without any real knowledge or understanding. And so I thought that really kind of expressed Srila Prabhupada's mood also. So the other part of that is, Parayanideva munya sva vimukti kama maunam charanti vijanena parartha nishthanaitam vihaya kipanam vimuksha eko nanyam tvar asya saranam brahmato nupashe. This is a little longer verse. He said, my dear Lord Nrsingadev, I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance, not caring for the big cities and towns. They go to the Himalayas or the forest for meditation with vows of silence or mona. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be delivered alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter of your lotus feet. Now, this is amazing prayer. And we see that Srila Prabhupada, he encapsulated this particular knowledge or understanding and mood. And so that's why he introduced to us the book distribution of Krishna consciousness by the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And we see that Prabhupada didn't come to make big, huge temples. He even said that. It wasn't his desire to come to America and just have a lot of followers or make huge temples and get a lot of adoration and distinction or profit. That wasn't his mood. He came as this mood of the prayer of Lord Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsingadev. That was his desire. That was his mood. That's why he pushed so much book distribution. You know that in Prabhupada's time, barely did he didn't build any temples in the Western world. He did build a few temples in India. And today, they're very flourishing. The Vrindavan temple, Mumbai temple, under his instruction or guidance. So he did that, but it wasn't his main desire. It wasn't his real purpose. His real purpose was for distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books. That's what it was. So we have the temple here. The whole temple is focused on service. Service to the deity, to Rukmini, Dwakadish, Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Sri Gaurnitai. So all these services, they actually are encapsulated within the service of distribution transcendental knowledge. It's not a separate activity. It's all focused on the same principle of service, and that service is to spread Krishna consciousness. So we have to see that the service in the temple should be there for the purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness. We as devotees, we should be preachers. We're not just workers. This is the job. This is actually, we should be preachers in the temple. We preach by the beautiful deities of look at Rukmini and Dwarkadish every day. How beautiful they look when the devotees dress them. Or Sri Gaurnitai, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. That is preaching. That in itself creates a certain kind of, it reawakens a certain love for Krishna within the heart. And when that's reawakened, then we want to tell somebody about that. I know when I'm seeing Rukmini Dwarkadish, they're so beautiful, I can't help but just brag to other devotees around the movement how beautiful Rukmini and Dwarkadish are. And even to the of people that come and visit. I can actually have a conversation with someone that's just a visitor, and we can tell them about the beauty of Rukmini Dwarkadish. Immediately they become enlivened. They're happy. They think this is beautiful. This is the preaching movement. We preach through the deities. We preach through the prasadam. We have devotees that work so hard in the kitchen for the Sunday program, or like yesterday or the other day for New Year's. That's preaching. People come to eat the Krishna prasadam. They understand it's offered to the devotees, or offered to the deities. And they realize that. They develop that understanding. They understand the importance of that activity. So that's preaching. So the cooks are preaching through their activity of cooking for the deities. The pujaris are preaching through the activity of offering the foodstuff to the deity and dressing the deity nicely. These are all preaching activities. And of course, another preaching activity is our behavior, who we are and how we are in Krishna consciousness. What's our action like? What do we act like? How do you act? How do you speak? What are your activities? All these things are preaching. And that's why it's very important for us to see that we're all preachers. Because if you're a preacher, you take it for serious. Then you want to act properly. You want to dress nicely. You want to be cordial, gentlemanly, not take advantage of people, not lie, not cheat. All these things are important for preaching, because when people see the good qualities of a devotee, immediately they become attracted. I became attracted to devotees immediately when I saw them. They looked so pure and so clean. And I could see that I was living a very ragged life, not very good at all, just in the mode of ignorance. So all these activities are preaching. So we see that the temple should be there for that purpose, for preaching. And our actions and activities and how we perform that activity is extremely important. So, these services that are here, they're ways of engaging devotees so that we can apply the principles of Krishna consciousness, or the principles of devotional service, and live and work in that particular atmosphere. In other words, the real purpose is to spread this movement. So we need to figure and understand how to live that life, how to live a devotional life. That's very important. If people, they live outside the temple, they have a job, they work, that's their job, to support their family, and they put devotional life wherever they can, how the best they can do that. But in Krishna consciousness, we need to take that devotional aspect, that service, full bore. We need to take it. You need to, we call it like diving into it. You need to dive into it. That was our motto many, many years ago. Dive in, Prabhuji. You know, take a bath, dive in, boom. And when you dive in, you swim. So dive into the ocean of devotional service. It's very important for us, because that actually helps us understand that devotional living is some kind of work. It's a practical way for us to make spiritual advancement. We have to learn how to live this Krishna conscious life. It's not that it's something secondary. It should be our life. And we see that our sadhana, extremely important. Those are the important factors, our sadhana, our chanting, our morning program, and then, of course, the 4 principles of Krishna consciousness. Those things are extremely important to live a Krishna conscious life. And if we live a proper Krishna conscious life, then we can actually preach properly with potency and with strength. If we don't live that life, then it's very difficult. It's very challenging. And it almost becomes insurmountable. So that's why those of us that live in a temple, we have to take these principles and the process of Krishna consciousness very sincerely and very dedicated. If we're sincere devotees to Shri Shri Rukmini and Dwarkadish, they'll give us the strength to be able to do that. You know, because it takes spiritual strength. you can get that spiritual strength from the deities, from praying to the Rukmini and Dwarkadish. Please, give me the strength to do this. Help me to become a devotee. Please allow me to serve you. Those things are very important. Otherwise, it's very difficult to preach. We become just captured by work. We think that work in Krishna consciousness is just ordinary work. In the old days, it used to be that, just give me whatever service. Because that's the Vaishnava life. Vaishnava life means that, give me a little bit of prasadam, give me a place where I can lay down, and then give me service whenever you can. Give me something to do. That's Vaishnava life. It's not like, well, I'm not going to do that. That's Brigapati wasn't like that in the old days. You remember? Do the needful. If anybody asked you, that was the way you were in Krishna consciousness. You thought, let me do something. And what did you demand? Your demand was, can I have a little bit of prasadam? And can I please have, 6 feet of space to lay down and sleep? That was the mood. That may be a little bit hard for some of you to realize that, but that was actually the mood. We would sleep together in one room. In fact, the gift shop upstairs, that used to be the Brahmacharya ashram. And everybody lived there. One big room, the gift shop. And that was the Brahmacharya ashram. And everybody lived there. And yes, there was a lot of struggle with that. But the point I'm trying to make is that our life has to be focused on the process of Krishna consciousness. It can't be just something there, and I attend to it whenever I can. No. It can't be like that. It has to be like, do the needful. Dive into it, Prabhu. Taste the nectar. These are all slogans that we used to have in the early days of Krishna consciousness. But, this type of advancement is like, we have to see it that if we don't come away with this kind of mood or feeling, we can't see it. We'll see that Krishna consciousness is just a rough situation. I mean, to get up in the morning, oh man, come on. Give me a break. It's this can't be real. This isn't real. Come on. You tell me you got up every day, but I don't believe it. It's because they're not making it their life. That's the point I'm trying to make. This is our life. This is the practical application. And by that practical application, we can really be absorbed in preaching Krishna consciousness. Because this is what Prabhupada taught us. He taught us like that. This isn't something that somebody just dreamed up and thought about. But that was what Prabhupada wanted us to do. And he even stressed that in order to preach this Krishna conscious movement, the principles are of the utmost and are practical sadhana. It has to be there. Then we can preach. Otherwise, no one can understand what we're doing. We won't understand ourselves. So, this was the understanding in those particular days, in the early days of Krishna consciousness, because we wanted to simply push on the Krishna conscious movement. We wanted to be a part of that, and we wanted to help Srila Prabhupada. So, a mature understanding, we have to come to a point where we have some mature understanding of the activity in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said that we have to make it our occupational duty. That's what we have to do. We have to make it like that. Just like so many people look for an occupation and they study for it, they go to school, they spend large amounts of money, and they make it their occupational duty. So we have to make Krishna consciousness our occupational duty. And this occupational duty, it's actually the mature platform of Krishna consciousness. Like when I say occupational duty, I mean there's so many services that we can do in the temple. Be a Bajari. why not be a pujari for the rest of your life? Make it your occupational duty. If you are into preaching, distribution of books, why not make that your occupational duty? An occupational duty means that you don't leave it. You understand that that's your duty. And that's really what it takes in Krishna consciousness. We have to see that all these different sacrifices that we make and different things that we do in this temple, they're meant to give us an opportunity to understand how to live a spiritual life. That is spiritual life. And that's what this temple's for, those of us that live in the temple. It's meant for us to understand this is spiritual life. Do this particular duty, do that duty, and by that duty and by following the principles and being very good and steady, this will be your occupational duty for life. And even so, we see that in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he's speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield. Arjuna was a fighter, a soldier. And his occupation was that. That was his occupational duty. He was a fighter. And on the battlefield, Kurukshetra, he wanted to give that up. He wanted to give up his occupational duty. And Krishna said, no, that's you rascal. You can't do that. You have a duty. And I'm going to use you, your occupational duty, for my desire. I want this to happen. So you can't give up your occupational duty just because it's convenient for you to give it up. In essence, this is what Krishna was saying. No, you can't give it up. So we should also, in Krishna consciousness, we should develop an occupational duty. And that's maturity in Krishna consciousness. Let me be a pujari for the rest of my life. There are people like that. Or, if you go to India, sometimes I would see some old gentleman living in the temple, and he was giving out charnamrita for 40 years. That was his occupational duty. He was satisfied with that. That was that little bit that he would do it all the time. Wasn't it, Archer? You know what I'm talking about. That nice, yeah. And that's what that was. He wouldn't give it up. You couldn't get him away from it. And he got up in the morning just to be able to do his occupational duty. So we ourselves have to develop that attitude. And by developing that attitude and that occupational duty and not give it up is how we can preach in Krishna consciousness. That is very powerful. That'll make us united. We'll all be together united. We'll work on the same page. We'll understand each other. But we see if we don't make Krishna consciousness our occupational duty, the principles, the activity of service, if we don't make that, then there's a disconnect. And everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say that. There's a genuine disconnect. So if we want to be preachers in Krishna consciousness, this is actually a very good idea to develop it as our occupational duty. And we do that by our different activities. As we mentioned, book distribution is a very important one. Deity worship is very important. Why not take the occupational, we need someone who takes the occupational duty of being a cook for Krishna. Lifetime cook. There's people out there that are lifetime chefs, right? You go in the material world, people have become a chef because they love cooking. They love cooking for people. So they become a lifetime chef. That's their occupational duty. Well, what's wrong with being an occupational duty chef in Krishna consciousness? Why not be a chef for Krishna for the rest of one's life? What is wrong with that? Why shouldn't that happen? What I'm trying to say is that challenge is right here within our boundary. We don't have to look anywhere else. We don't have to go outside and think that I need to do this or I need to do that. It's all right here, is my point. Everything is here for us to develop an occupational duty, regardless of how it happens or what happens. It doesn't matter. You're doing it out of service for the deities, for the temple, for the spiritual master. This is what it really is. It's easy just to walk out the door. Nah, I'm not going to do that. You don't have it together, man. I'm out of here. Why don't you help make it? Why not help make it? Why walk out? Why leave? Because you don't like what it is. That's what Arjuna tried to do. It's like a cop-out. Yes, I know even in my life, I thought on many occasions, I'm out of here. But somehow I stayed. And, that was Krishna's mercy on me. Yeah, I stayed. And although there were so many difficulties, there's always difficulties. But the point being is, if we take this as our occupational duty, I to this day, I take my occupational duty as what I'm doing here. This is my life work, to be in this particular situation. And I've accepted it. A lot of problems. I have a lot of complaints. lot of, pitfalls. A lot of negativity. A lot of criticism. But so what? This is my occupational duty. And we have to take it that way. Your occupational duty is a yoga teacher, right? There's a lot of pitfalls, a lot of stress, a lot of challenges, right? Okay, so look at Brigapati Prabhu. 50 years plus, book distribution, ki jai. Occupational duty. And look at the result. Look at the benefit and the result. How many people he's helped give a book to, knowingly or unknowingly. Doesn't matter. That was his duty. He took it and he worked it. And he did it for the spiritual master. And to help the temple. Because that's what we should be doing. We should be thinking like that. Then everything becomes beautiful. Otherwise, it's all a mess. It's everybody's their own thing, whatever. There's got to be cohesion. And if we all see that this is our occupational duty, to be in the temple and to serve and be here, have good sadhana, follow the principles, then it becomes powerful. It becomes a real beautiful situation. And just like you see the devotees on the altar, they're working so nicely together. Look at how beautiful the deities look every day. I'm exhausted how beautiful they look. Because every day I'm coming, I see the deities, I'm exhausted in ecstasy about how gorgeous they look. How much better can it get? And then the next day, oh my God. This is Krishna consciousness. This is what it means to dive in and swim in the ocean, in the nectar of Krishna consciousness. To dive in and swim in that ocean of devotional service. And that's what life is about. And that's what makes our preaching successful. And book distribution is a result of that. That's what it is. It's book distribution. The more you distribute Prabhupada's books, the more people are interested and concerned. If they come into a temple where everybody's cohesive, working together, supporting each other, it's going to be like a love bomb. It's going to be like, whoa, unbelievable. And that's the way it was in the beginning of, wasn't it, Archita Prabhu? You can say that, right? Bigger party? That's what it was. Because we were all focused under Srila Prabhupada's instruction and his desire. That's what it meant. So, please, make Krishna consciousness your occupational duty. You write that down somewhere. Occupational duty. And let's see what happens. Let's see what can come of it. Okay, I know I really got out of hand. Sorry. But a couple more things, then we'll announce some scores. Just some quotes from Srila Prabhupada. These are legendary quotes, and I read these quotes whenever I want to become inspired and think about how important it is to push on book distribution. There's a letter in 1971, Prabhupada wrote, "Preaching is our real business, preaching and distributing books. If your preaching work is strong, then your management of temple affairs will also become automatically very strong. Just like if the head wills it, the hand will move. Preaching is like the head of our Krishna consciousness society. If the head is removed, the whole body dies. Managing is the hands, which work nicely if the head is healthy. If the hands are removed, the body will not die, but it will be crippled. So preaching is more important than management, but both must be there if the whole body is to operate nicely." That's one of my more famous quotes by Prabhupada. So yes, we have to manage. That's important. It must go on. But you can lose an arm or two and still go on. But you can't get your head chopped off. You can't. It's finished. So we may be crippled every now and then, but it means that we have to stand up and we have to become united again and work at it and not give up, because it's our occupational duty. Just try to remember Arjuna on the battlefield with Krishna and how despondent he was. He was so confused and despondent. He dropped his sword and his bow. And that for a soldier, can you imagine if you're in the army and you're in the middle of a battle and you just throw your rifle down? They'll probably, you're a court-martial. They may even shoot you. Yeah, so this is how we have to see. Okay. Another one. Bhagavad Gita purport. Non-violence is generally taken to mean not killing or destroying the body. But actually, non-violence means not to put others in distress. People in general are trapped by ignorance in the material concept of life, and they perpetually suffer material pains. So unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge to the people so that they may become enlightened and leave this material entanglement. That is non-violence. Yeah, that's beautiful. Very powerful. Okay, a letter December 6, 1974. We'll just read a couple more. Regarding your question, actually it is a fact that ultimately everyone should preach and distribute books if they want to please me in the best way. Book distribution must be given stress always. If you do this sincerely, it is a fact that Krishna will supply everything else required. I blindly follow my Guru Maharaj. I do not know what is the result. So I am stressing on this point of book distribution. He told me this personally. Book distribution is Bhagavat Marg, and temple worship is Pancharatriki Vidhi. Both are important for cultivating Vaishnavism. By comparatively speaking, Bhagavat Marg is more important than Pancharatriki Vidhi. As far as possible, both should go on in parallel lines, but Bhagavat Marg is more important than the other. So you are all intelligent boys, so you should judge the desire of my Guru Maharaj and help me in that way. I'll read one more, although I want to read about 10 more. I'll just read one more. Okay, Srimad Bhagavatam 4.8.52. It's a room conversation. When one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained before, this means meeting the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the instruction of the spiritual master. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states in his Bhagavad Gita commentary on the verse Vyasyatmika Buddhir Ekeha Kuru Nandana, Bhagavad Gita 241, that one should serve the words of the spiritual master. The disciple must stick to whatever the spiritual master orders. Simply by following on that line, one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In conclusion, If a disciple is very serious to execute the mission of the spiritual master, he immediately associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by Vani or Vapu. This is the only secret of success in seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead of being eager to see the Lord in some bush of Vrindavan, while at the same time engaging in sense gratification, if one instead sticks to the principle of following the words of the spiritual master, he will see the Supreme Lord without difficulty. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Can we read the scores? Okay. So, we have some results for the 2024 book distribution team. These are all Lakshmi points. The Sankirtan team for 2024 did about $500,000 in collection. Yes. The gift shop and the buffet combined also did over $500,000. Combined, the gift shop and the buffet gave about $90,000 to the temple for our preaching purposes. Then we had Rath Yatra for 2024 was 262,000 Lakshmi points for Rath Yatra. Our Sunday feast, we did about 42,300 Lakshmi points. Other festivals, about 82,400 Lakshmi points. Membership, 40,000 Lakshmi points. The Didi Hundi box, 95,000 Lakshmi points. Didi Mahaprasad sales, 54,500. Bhagavad Gita Museum, about 18,000. And to the BBT, to the North American BBT, the Los Angeles Temple gave this year 501,000 Lakshmi points. Huge, very huge, huge for us. Let's give a big Haribol to the book distributors. Haribol! I can assure you, not speculating, that if Prabhupada was president and he heard these scores, he would be very satisfied. He'd be very happy. And then he would probably say, okay, now do more. He would say that. We would expect him to say that. Okay, distribution of literatures. We did 2,662 magazines, 62,679 small books, 39,412 medium books, 45,968 big books, and Maha big books, 82,304. And sets of books, like the Bhagavatam, 628 sets. That means 233,653 books distributed and 288,698 book points. Haribol! That'll make New Dwarka the number 2 temple in America. The number 1 temple is ISV. They're unbelievable. They dwarf our amount that we have here. So they're very fired up. Our prayer would be that maybe someday we can match them. Also for the marathon, we wanted to do 50,000 Bhagavad Gitas, but we didn't make it, but we were close. We did 44,208 Bhagavad Gitas for the marathon. Yeah, almost made it. And that was a monumental task, by the way. You can just imagine distributing that many books. It's not an easy chore. It's a real yagya. And so we'd like to thank Brigupati and his team for going out there and distributing all these literatures. Give him a big Haribol, yes. Okay, I'll read our December results. I'll be very quick, so I know everybody's anxious to go and take prasadam. But You'll go down real hungry after this. All right. So for the December marathon, I'll just read the first like 15 devotees. That way we don't have to go through everyone. So we have 15 place Bhakti Jnana. She did 110 medium, 1 big, 6 maha big, 133 Lakshmi points. Then we have Nakatma Prabhu, did 30 medium, 98 maha big, 151 Lakshmi points. Then we have Bhakti Raul, 320 medium, 100 small, 100 medium, 48 maha big, and 370 Lakshmi points. Then we have Shira Chor Gopinath Prabhu, did 3 magazines, 27 small, 54 medium, 38 big, 180 maha big books, 371 Lakshmi points. Radharani Dasi, 215 small, 8 maha big, and 378 Lakshmi points. We had Suvarna Bindu Prabhu, 128 small, 199 medium, 176 big, 356 maha big, 1,048 Lakshmi points. Then we had Dear Lalita Prabhu, 38 small, 590 medium, 569 big, 238 maha big, and 2,411 Lakshmi points. Sachi Tanoy, 559 medium, 569 big, 238 maha big, 3 sets. No, that's Prem Sankirtan. He did 3,042 Lakshmi points. Prem Sankirtan, 440 small, 415 medium, 388 big, 1,009 maha big, 3 sets of Bhagavatam, and that was 3,319 Lakshmi points. Bhakti Kevin, let's see here, Bhakti Kevin, 4,485 small, 9 medium, 8 big, 1,165 maha big, and 4,198 Lakshmi points. Sachidula Prabhu, 973 small, 596 medium, 20 big, 1,563 maha big, 1 set of Bhagavatams, and 4,683 Lakshmi points. And then Brigupati Prabhu, 108 small, 1,156 medium, 618 big, 1,839 maha big, 4 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam, and 6,229 Lakshmi points. Then we did our Gita Jayant program, and that was huge. Combined, that was over $100,000, and that was about almost 20,000 Mahabhagavad Gitas. Okay, then we'll do all year 2024. We'll just do like we did 15. Okay, Jagatatra, 500 small, 703 medium, 485 big, 514 maha big, 3 sets of Bhagavatams, 4,700 Lakshmi points. Bhakti Brian, 163 small, 996 medium, 680 big, 416 maha big, 4 sets of Bhagavatams, and 4,984 Lakshmi points. Ananda Kirtan, 80 magazines, 4,321 small, 500 medium, 771 big, 1,578 maha big, 19 sets, and 6,085 Lakshmi points. Then we had Satyadullah Prabhu, 1,456 small, 1,211 medium, 124 big, 2,211 maha big, 1 Bhagavatam set, and 7,600 Lakshmi points. Govinda Anand Prabhu, 277 medium, 459 big, 1,387 maha big, and 9,872 Lakshmi points. Bhakti Avatar, 2 magazines, 2,577 small, 1,372 medium books, 1,506 big, 2,003 maha big, 26 sets, and 14,486 Lakshmi points. Rath-yatra, I don't know how many books, I think it was 15,000 Lakshmi points. He didn't put any book scores down. Okay, Devarata Prabhu, 18 magazines, 475 small, 1,286 medium, 1,199 big, 629 maha big, 37 sets, and 15,274 Lakshmi points. Dear Lalita Prabhu, 16 magazines, 501 small, 3,824 medium, 1,417 big, 1,854 maha big, 16 sets, and 24,500 Lakshmi points. Prem Sankirtan Prabhu, 1,702 small, 4,143 medium, 3,875 big, 6,313 maha big, 10 sets, and 26,561 Lakshmi points. Bhatti Kevin, 140 magazines, 20,753 small, 1,239 medium, 712 big, 4,650 maha big, 28,900 Lakshmi points. Sachitanoi Prabhu, 112 small, 6,418 medium, 6,996 big, 2,594 maha big, and 37,053 Lakshmi points. Brigapati Prabhu, 2,045 small, 9,119 medium, 7,694 big, 26,532 maha big, 34 sets of Bhagavatams, and that was 117,485 Lakshmi points. Wow, that was phenomenal. 73 years old. Dandavats. Okay? Thank you for your patience. Thank you very much for coming. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
tamaham bhajami Govindam Adipurusham tamaham bhajami Prakarthanamasum Kalpavruksha-vachabhutesum Sudhavira-bhipalayantam Lakshmi-sahasrata-sambrama-se Kumaram Govindam Adipurusham tamaham